Hello there, welcome to this video on conditional statements. Conditional statements are code that will allow us to test whether an expression or a condition is true and then run or execute a code depending on that condition. So if one condition is true, it runs one code. If it's not, it runs the other code. And the most common type of conditional statements in JavaScript is called an if-else statement. So this is an example of an if-else statement code. So I'll just explain this code for you. So it begins with a variable, and the variable name is car type, and the value for that variable is range rover. So this is the piece of code. We need to focus on the if and the else, and this is how you will write it. You begin with an if, with the word if, and then you have parentheses where you put in the condition. So this is where you will specify the condition in between the parentheses. So the condition is, if the car type, which has been declared here, is equals to, in JavaScript, double equals to means equals. A single one means you're setting or giving a value. So if car type equals to Range Rover, alert this. It wants the code that will be executed will be this. So a pop-up window will come up saying, I love my Range Rover. If, for example, the name here is wrong, and this is changed to E or something, then it will not match the value here. And then when the piece of code runs, it will now execute this second part because the first part is wrong. It will now execute alert, I would like a Range Rover, please. All right, I've got the code here inside my text editor, and this is the code here. All right, so what it's saying here, if the car type that I've declared here equals to Range Rover, I want you to alert this message, I love my Range Rover. If not, display the second part of the code. So this is what a basic if-else conditional statement does. So let me run this code. I'll just do that. See, it says, I love my Range Rover. So that means because the first part of the code, the if statement, is correct, there is no need to run the second part because the first condition has been satisfied. So the condition are placed between the parentheses. It's very important. And also don't forget the curly braces when you're writing the code. Curly braces is very important. So if you notice the curly braces, they are highlighted. That's the first one after the if statement. So you got they always come in pairs, the curly braces. So this is the second braces. Says it matches for the else statement. So if the first part of the code is not met, it will execute the second part. For example, if I change the name here, say I put, just change the name, put Range Rover, and then do a save. If I run that, it should give me this second part because that name is wrong. You see that is giving me the second part of the code. I would like a Range Rover, please, because this, in the if part of it, the car type is not equals to Range Rover because I've purposely spelled it wrong because it doesn't match the value here. This equals to sign is what determines it. It's saying this value, this car type, this variable must match this. All right, so this is how you would write an if-else statement, but always remember the curly braces. After the if, you need to place the curly braces, and the condition is placed between the parentheses. Okay, so you've got one condition there. If this condition is not met, it will execute. If this condition is met, it will execute this piece of code here. If it is not met, it will then execute this piece of code. All right, so I've got another one here I've written for ice cream, but it's the same format. So this is another piece of code with an if-else statement. So the variable I've declared here is ice cream. I'm giving it a value of chocolate. And this is the if statement saying that if the ice cream variable is equal, if you notice here it's got 3 equals to, this means strictly equals to. If the ice cream, if it's a double, that means equals. If it's 3 equals to, that means strictly equals to. If ice cream is strictly equals to chocolate, alert, hooray, I love chocolate. So if this is true, this condition is true, it will run this code. If it is not true, it will run the second code. So let me run that. So it should run both code. Okay, something seems to be wrong with the code. Let's have a look. All right, I figured out what was wrong with the code. What I've done, I've commented out this part of it, but that wasn't the problem. The problem was that I left out these curly braces here. It's very important that your curly braces do match. If not, the code will not run. So I missed out this one. That's why it didn't run. So you see, they have to be paired. That one pairs with that, and this paired with that. If it's not paired, it will not run. So let me run this code, and you can see what it does. It says, hooray, I love chocolate ice cream, because the condition here has been met. It's saying if this condition is met, alert this message. If not, alert the second code. So this is what conditional statements do in JavaScript. They are used to test if a condition is true or not, and based on that, the code specified will run. So it doesn't run all the time. The code will only run if the condition is met. All right, in this video I explain what conditional statements do. They are used to run code based on certain conditions. So if one condition is true, it will execute one block of code, and if one condition is true, it executes the first block of code. If it's not true, it will execute the second block of code. So this is how conditional statements work in JavaScript. Thank you so much for watching. I hope the video has been useful. Thank you and bye for now.